Godzilla vs. Kong is a very mixed bag amongst the Godzilla fandom, with either people deathly in love with it, or people who hate it. It's really about 50-50. As you could probably tell, I'm one of the people who love it. And you know who else does? The general public. The movie is killing it at the box office, especially for during the pandemic. You could just dismiss that as people watching it because of pandemic boredom, but look at Wonder Woman 1984. The movie could easily be seen as the same thing if the movie didn't do so hot, which makes sense because it wasn't very well liked. And that leads me to the point of the video, an in-depth look explaining why Godzilla vs. Kong is genuinely a good movie, and why people like it so much. Alright, for my first point, I'm going to be talking about how this is the kind of movie the general public wants to see. A movie primarily focused on a bunch of monsters beating each other up, while the human cast doesn't get in the way, yet there's still enough from them to hold the scenes while the monsters aren't on screen. And this is where I may lose some of you. You may argue that this isn't what they should be seeing. We should have more developed human characters, and that we should go more in depth into their stories. Sure, that's great and all, but that's not the kind of movie the general public wants to see. And if there are people out there who are more akin to that type of movie, they can find a Toho one. They have the more serious take on Godzilla. But there aren't too many people out there like that. The mass market is made up of more of the people who enjoy the type of movie Godzilla vs. Kong is. And as of right now, I'd rather have people who can understand my appeal to Godzilla, even if it is a dumbed down version, than the same people calling me weird for liking Godzilla when this kind of thing isn't there. And at that, those people have now had an easy vessel into the Godzilla universe. If they like the new movie, there's a chance they'll go back and watch others. And that can be their introduction into the Godzilla world. And if you, as a fan, aren't too thrilled by Godzilla vs. Kong, then go watch Godzilla Singular Point. It's a lot more of a sophisticated take on Godzilla, and there's tons more content there too. Now back to the rest of the point. Why is it that this movie, while being very dumbed down, is still very well liked by people? It's because despite the lack of much character in the movie, there are still characters who hold it up. There are still people there to entertain the audiences as the movie goes on. And the point of the movie isn't about the characters. It's about Godzilla and Kong fighting. That's what people pay to see. And if they can at least enjoy what's happening when the monsters aren't there, then that's enough for them. Not just that, but the pacing is very good for the movie too. Sure, the beginning starts off a bit slow, but once it gets going, it really does. There's no point in the movie, once the first battle happens, that one can truly get bored. It's non-stop interesting stuff happening, yet there's still breather moments to take it all in. But of course, like I said, this movie is about Godzilla and Kong, which of course means I have to talk about them too. Which brings me to my next point. Alright, the name kind of gives it away, but half of this point is going to be in reference to a video done by Filmento. In the video, he very nicely explains how the movie skillfully builds up the two monsters and really handles the versus aspect well. But something he concluded about the movie I disagree with. He says that when Godzilla has beaten Kong, he has a save Martha moment and lets Kong go. Now I disagree with this, though he does mention a counter-argument that could be made. Godzilla knew about Kong's injuries, and knew he would die from them. But he states that it's pretty out of character for him to do that, considering in other cases, Godzilla has just blasted the monster to death with atomic breath. But here's where I think he's wrong. In the other cases, Godzilla fighting the Mutos or Ghidorah, he's fighting to the death. He's fighting a foe who he needs to kill, or they will threaten his existence and destroy the world. That is not what Kong is. Kong is just another alpha, who has the same intentions as Godzilla, and Godzilla knows this. So during the fight, when Godzilla kind of realizes the situation he is in with Kong, he kind of starts to enjoy the fight. And this is signaled to us by something people call out of character. Godzilla laughs. People argue that this is just a little too much for him, he should have just smiled. But we have seen Godzilla smile before. He did it twice in King of the Monsters, when he knocked Ghidorah through the building, and when he was in burning mode, and Ghidorah could do nothing to stop him. Those were moments of triumph. Yet this scene in Godzilla vs. Kong is showing that Godzilla is having fun. A devilish laugh showing that he would rather mess with Kong than kill with a single blow. So when he's hovering over Kong and he lets him sit there, he absolutely knows that Kong is going to die from his wounds. So Godzilla leaves him there to suffer. When Kong refuses to bow down, he doesn't have respect for Kong at the moment. Not yet. He's rather angered even more, and leaves Kong to have a slow death, thinking about the mistake he made. To make him regret for as long as he can till he dies, not submitting to the king. It is only later, when Kong saves Godzilla from Mechagodzilla, that Godzilla gains his respect for Kong and lets him go after the fight. When I say the movie's extra layers, I am of course speaking about Mechagodzilla. Calling back to that Filmenta video from before, in the video he states that Mechagodzilla is just another CGI monstrosity who has nothing to do with the movie, and is just there so the fighters have something to do instead of finishing their battle, a metal doomsday if you will. But if you look at it from my perspective, that the fight did end, where does that leave Mechagodzilla? Well, at face value, he's just an add-on to the movie. A bonus, who's just there so the fun can continue. I mean, yeah, but it also represents a lot more. For example, it's the same evil, or stupidity rather, from Godzilla King of the Monsters, and Godzilla as a whole, really. Creating something bad must be done to end something bad. But you may say, that's great and all, but what does it have to do with Godzilla vs. Kong? Well, you have to remember, he's the whole reason the Hong Kong fight even happened. Godzilla would have never gone there, and he never would have sent Kong in the Hollow Earth below him. And Kong's home would have never been destroyed, which had provoked him into fighting Godzilla in the first place. Also, if Mechagodzilla was completely out of the picture, and Godzilla and Kong still had their fight in Hong Kong due to something else, Godzilla still would have beaten Kong, and Kong would have still been revived, and they still would have fought. But it's the stupidity of man represented by Mechagodzilla that reminds us both of what Godzilla and Kong represent themselves. And there we go. I've provided you with what I believe are the best ways to look at Godzilla vs. Kong and see it as a good movie. But if you do disagree with me, that's fine. But before you go, please try and see where I'm coming from. If you still can't, then please be sure to be respectful about it. I thank you all for watching, and this has been Godzilla Productions TV, signing off.